This episode is not sponsored by Skillshare or Squarespace. Well, it's the last day of 2023. It's that special time where we look back on the year and reflect on all the things that we accomplished. How much weight we lost, how many cameras we weren't going to buy but did, unshot film from 2021 that's still sitting in the back of the fridge. All this reflecting got me thinking, it's time for an end of year wrap up. While everyone is busy doing best of 2023s, I'll be deep diving through my catalog to show you the worst photos I took in 2023 and what I learned. Jeez, freaking burps every time. Let's get this over with. Starting out in no particular order, here is photo number 9. You're probably asking yourself, how'd you mess up a picture of a Lambo? Well, I have an answer for you. I don't have an answer. Come on, teleprompter. There we go. This image was a one-stop push on Acros 2. I was experimenting with X-Tall dilutions, 1 to 3 for those who are curious. The one-stop push was fine, and the dilution was fine this time, but issues from dilution will make an appearance a little bit later on. The killer of this photo was a nasty light leak from a deteriorated light seal. Also, since you're wondering, I did replace the light seals, but the foam in the replacement kit is slightly shorter in length than the original seals, so I still have light leaks in these film backs. What did I learn here? Light seals are cheap. Film is not. Replace your light seals. Did I learn? No. Shot number 6 is this lovely gem. It looked killer in the viewfinder, but upon review, it's a disappointment. What's the lesson here? If something catches your eye, just take the photo. You won't improve if you don't shoot. Did I learn? Yes. We're trying to record here. Okay. Severe underexposure and time killed this shot. If you're asking yourself, how does underexposure and time ruin a shot? That's a double negative. Well, I have an answer. Answer 1, operator error. I metered incorrectly. Answer number 2, time factor. This roll expired in 1998. Improper metering of this 25-year-old film led to an exposed image. Fortunately, it was the only goof on this roll. The rest of the shots held up pretty well. The lesson? Pay attention when you're metering, especially with expired film. Did I learn? Yes. Moving right along, we've got this disaster piece, number 8. What's wrong with it? Well, it's a laundromat, and there's a light leak. Yes, if you were counting, this is camera number 2 with a light leak. These seals were replaced in September 2021 by yours truly. It was my first time replacing light seals. Again, operator error is the culprit here. At the time of recording, I have not replaced the light seals in the Pentax, but I do have replacements. I just need to finish off a roll of Delta 3200 that's been loaded in the camera since June. Did I learn? No. Taking 3rd place on our list this year, drum roll please, is this Century 16 photo, the most difficult photo to diagnose this year. Let's break it down. At the time of shooting this, it seemed like, oh my gosh. McFly, we're recording down here, McFly. Okay. At the time of shooting, this seemed like a standard night scene. Nothing I haven't encountered before. But, to my surprise, I was making some huge film no-nos. Mistake number 1, lens flare. Old lenses have coatings that aren't as efficient as modern day lenses, so they're more susceptible to lens flare, especially at night. For context, a street light just out of frame was blasting light across the lens, which caused some lens flare. To make things worse, I was shooting at f/16. I know. Why shoot Ektar 100 at night at f/16? Well, let me enlighten you. I'm weird. Now, before you click off the video, hear me out. I was trying to increase image sharpness, but by closing down the aperture, I was unintentionally increasing the amount of lens flare. Mistake number 2, not using a lens hood. After much help from DV over DT, I learned lens flare can be reduced by opening up your aperture, the wider the better, and by attaching a lens hood to block stray light from entering the lens. Mistake number 3. The final nail in the coffin for this photo was, you guessed it, light leaks. Can you tell which camera this image was shot with? If you guessed the Pentax, you're right on. I hadn't figured out the light leak issue at this point, so this photo had a lot going wrong with it. Lens flare, stray light, and light leaks. At least I learned, right? Did I learn? Yes. Photo number 10 is just a complete blunder all around. Let's see if you can figure out what I did to mess this one up. Time's up. If you guessed rating Kentmere 400 at 6400 while shooting directly into the sun and not metering the shot, you're correct. Let me know in the comments if you were right. So, to break this one down, I thought it'd be cool to shoot a roll of Kentmere 400 at 6400. Why, you ask? When I checked the massive dev chart for developing times, some crazy dude had figured out a developing time for exposing at 6400. If you're counting, that's 4 stops of underexposure. Also on budget film. So, of course, I had to try it. Images were produced, this one being the worst. The truck is black, the sun is directly behind the truck, and I didn't check metering, so this frame is toast. Honestly, I'm surprised there's any detail here. Big props to Kentmere 400 for surviving this torture test. Have I made this mistake again? No, I have not. Did I learn? Yes. Remember how earlier I said dilution would come back to haunt me? Well, here's photo number 10. Let's dive in. Without getting too technical, diluting developer is another way to confuse yourself. The tricky part with developing diluted is measuring the chemistry properly. If you measure right, it works. Otherwise, not so much. I had success with multiple rolls last year, but every roll I developed diluted this year didn't turn out. The issue again is operator error. I'm confident I didn't measure the chems properly because I got 4 messed up rolls of black and white. Did I learn? Not initially. Like I said, I ruined 4 rolls this way, but I haven't developed any rolls in diluted chemistry since. So, did I learn? No, and yes. Next up is photo number 1. This one's interesting because it's not the composition or the subject that's the issue, it's the film. I'm gonna be straight up here. I don't like the look of Ultramax, at least when I shoot it. Before you start furiously typing angry comments about how I have no clue what I'm talking about, actually, go ahead. I'll wait. I've seen plenty of great photos taken on Ultramax, and I have a buddy, Devin, who takes amazing photos, and he even pushes Ultramax. But when I shoot it, it looks pretty bad. However, I am definitely biased. I've only shot 1 roll of Ultramax. With that said, I scan all of and develop 95% of my rolls at home. At this point, I'm pretty consistent, and if it makes any difference, I use the same external light meter for metering the shots. This roll of Ultramax has a massive amount of contrast. I know it's budget, and this is a low light scenario, but I shot on a tripod and I checked metering throughout the shoot. See, I am learning. Anywho, the whole roll turned out like this. I've shot Superia 400 in similar conditions and it looks just fine. I have never seen Ultramax turn out quite like this. Maybe it's the Cinestill C41 2-bath kit I'm using to develop, or maybe I bumped the aperture while shooting. I'm not exactly sure. I've developed other rolls in said chemistry that have turned out fine, so if you've had a similar experience or if you love Ultramax, let me know. Except for Devin, I already know you love it. So what did I learn here? Well, I haven't shot any Ultramax since. Shortly after this experience, I started using Vision 3 50D, and I haven't bothered to try Ultramax since. Did I learn? Yes. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, the photos. That's right, the photos that swept the competition and took absolutely last place for being the worst photos I took in 2023. We need a little context on these, so let's break it down. What happened? In late February, I went on a week-long road trip to Southern California. I shot a bunch of rolls and was feeling pretty confident in my developing skills, so I developed these rolls myself. My mistake stemmed from an extended period of developing black and white. In the black and white developing process, it's okay to use water as a stop bath. Black and white developer is pretty mild. This is not the case for C41. C41 developer is much stronger, and depending on the pH of your water supply, it may not stop the developing reaction, even if the developer has been removed from the tank. After much enlightening from DV over DT, I learned that the pH of my city's water does not stop the developing process. By not using stop bath to stop the developer while I prepared the next roll, the film continued to develop, resulting in completely frying every single color roll from this trip. Keep in mind, I let the negs soak in rinse water while I prepped the next roll for development, and they still overdeveloped. I'd like to take a moment to thank Tim for all of his help this past year. He is one of the most knowledgeable film people on the planet. Tim, thank you. At some point, I'll finish scanning these rolls, but with how bad the first two turned out, I'm not really in a hurry. Maybe I'll make a video about the trip and share the photos anyway. Check it out, everyone's favorite, a Shell gas station. I'm gonna bust out some Cinestill 800T and get a shot of that. Can't miss that. Come all this way for nothing. If that's something you want to see, let me know. Did I learn something from this disaster? Yes. I still am developing at home, although these days I review the developing instructions before I get started, and I added stop bath to my C41, black and white, and ECN2 workflow. Stop bath is cheap, it's easy to mix, and definitely worth using. Also, I haven't cooked any eggs since. Hallelujah. Let's tally up the score here and see if I learned from my mistakes this year. We ended up with 7 yeses and 3 nos. So, on a score out of 10, that's 70%. According to the University of Northern Iowa, a 70% score equals a C-. So, I learned at a slightly below average rate this year. I'm aiming for a B- for the year of 2024. We'll see how that goes. Well, it's all up from here. You've seen the worst photos I've taken in 2023. If you made it through this whole mess, thank you very much. We'll see you in the next one.